Unless you've been living under a rock or smoking way too much weed, you've probably heard that the Formula One is coming to Las Vegas, Nevada. And according to F1LasVegasGP.com, the event is set to take place from November 16th to November 18th, just a few short days away. Just recently, I had the unfortunate opportunity to visit the Las Vegas Strip, and all the footage that you will be seeing throughout this video is the footage that I captured on my camera. So I started my journey from the south side of the Strip at New York Hotel and Casino, and it wasn't until I got closer to the Bellagio fountains where things started to take shape. And right quick, here's the track layout that I pulled from their website. As you can see, it cuts right through the heart of the Strip, going right past some of Las Vegas's most iconic casinos. And according to LasVegasReviewJournal.com, the track has a total length of 3.8 miles, or 1,609 meters, for my homies on the metric system. Now, I'm not knocking the Formula One race, but I gotta say, it certainly wasn't that same Las Vegas experience that I'm used to, especially with the giant grandstands blocking such a mesmerizing view of the Bellagio fountains. And here's a clip I shot of the fountains going off on Sunday, November 12th. With the grandstands blocking the views from the north and south ends, the fountains really don't catch your attention like they used to. Although if you're not a geriatric and you have a good pair of walking shoes on, you could just walk around to the back and get a view from there. I mean, that's what I did. And I got a pretty decent view. Although, just be warned, there's probably going to be hundreds of other people there as well. So chances are you're all going to end up getting squished together like a bunch of teenagers front row at a Disturbed concert. You've been warned. Now let's get real for a second. I'm not completely crapping on the F1 race like a homeless person on the street in downtown San Francisco. I think if they can pull this off, it's actually going to be quite beneficial to the city. And in fact, according to Forbes.com, it's estimated that the event will bring in more than 100,000 people and roughly $1.7 billion in revenue to the city. And if you think that's awesome, it only gets worse. Or better, depending on if you live in Las Vegas or not. I talked to many locals that were there on the Strip that day, and even a few security guards, and the feedback that I got was close to 50-50. Some thought it was a great opportunity for Las Vegas and can't wait to see how things play out, while the other half wasn't so ambitious. They weren't hip to the idea of ripping up the Strip and completely taking away any potential tourists from already existing attractions. Now, I did have a little hunch that a lot of those people that didn't like the idea of the race were probably workers of the hotels, casinos, restaurants, and bars on the Strip. And I say that because they weren't too shy to voice their thoughts on how bad the traffic has been, especially when construction for the race first started on the Strip. Now, in the short time that I was there, I didn't think traffic was too bad, and even local news stations were reporting that traffic has improved as many of the projects along the Strip have been completed. But as it gets closer to the weekend, you can best bet there will be more lane closures to help keep traffic out of the area and allow more last-minute preparations for the race. Now, for those of you that think you're going to show up the day of the Formula One race and camp out on one of the many pedestrian bridges in hopes of getting a view, well, think again. This was highly anticipated, and so what Formula One did is they had privacy film put on the glass of all the pedestrian bridges that have a view of the racetrack. They ain't playing around. They're making it so that way you're not getting a view of the race unless you're paying for it. Now, this ended up pissing off a lot of Las Vegas locals, and what people started to do is tear off the film from the glass, in hoping workers wouldn't put the film back on, but they did. The sneaky maneuver of ripping off the film was only then countered by workers putting up a fence in front of the glass, making it even more difficult to remove the privacy film. And so far their efforts, well, they've proven successful. But if you ask me, I think the day of the race, we are going to see a different side of people anxious to get a glimpse of the race from the pedestrian bridges. They even covered the tops of the bridges with netting to prevent those dumbass drunken tourists with no common sense from throwing objects down on the racetrack. Now, if you get real close to the privacy film, you can see through it a little bit, but any potential visibility that you may get will be drowned out by the lights that Formula One workers installed on the netting. So the idea is for the light to reflect off the privacy film, making it more difficult to see, and I can definitely speak from experience and say, this will certainly work. I was walking across one of the pedestrian bridges late afternoon, and the reflection from the sun onto the privacy film made it very difficult to look at. Can you imagine how bright that's going to be at night when they have dozens of lights hanging from above? That might sting a little bit. Now, the main race is set to start at 10 p.m. on Saturday, November 18th. I thought this was a little unusual at first until I started looking more into it, and now it makes more sense. The reason for the late start is to, 1, get the full Las Vegas nightlife effect. I gotta admit, if this was done during the day, it probably wouldn't be as cool, and sitting in that Las Vegas sun would suck. And number 2, it helps ensure that European viewers will be able to tune in at a decent start time, if you consider 6 a.m. a decent start time. But then again, on a good day, I usually don't start drinking till at least 9 in the morning, so it is what it is. Another security guard told me that everything on the Strip will operate business as usual in terms of the restaurants, hotels, casinos, little souvenir shops, etc., etc. He also told me that any seat with a view of the racetrack will come at a price. So for example, if you plan on eating at a restaurant and you request a seat with a view of the racetrack, the restaurant is probably going to end up charging you an arm and a leg just for that seat, so heads up. Now this next part makes no fucking sense. I've been watching a lot of YouTube and news channels talking about prices for hotels and for the Formula 1 tickets, and there seems to be a lot of mixed information regarding this. Meaning, some news channels are saying that prices for hotels are skyrocketing as the event gets closer, while other news channels are reporting that prices are dropping as it gets closer to race day. Even 8 News Now reported that a lot of the tickets for the Formula 1 are not even selling, and in fact, people are having a hard time transferring their tickets. But you guys let me know. Do you think the Formula 1 will be as big as expected, or do you think it will flop? Like CM Punk's UFC career. Just saying. Now, a pretty popular question that has surfaced in the comment section of many YouTube videos and message boards is, are the grandstands in front of the Bellagio fountains permanent, or are they going to tear them down after the race? Well, with a 10-year partnership with Formula 1, this has a lot of people thinking that the grandstands in front of the fountains are going to be up for quite a while, especially after ripping out all of the trees that were once lined up along the walkway. But that might not be the case. A lot of people have been saying that it's easier to tear them down than it is to put them up, and that it wouldn't make sense to leave them up the rest of the year, continuously obstructing views for onlooking tourists. So the most likely scenario is, once the races are done, all of the grandstands along the Las Vegas Strip will come down, which I think is totally valid, and in my opinion, the Bellagio fountains are the best free tourist attraction in all of Las Vegas. After scouring a few Las Vegas message boards, I found that a lot of people were asking, when are they going to take down the grandstands in front of the Bellagio fountains? Because planning their trip is contingent on getting a good view of the fountains without the obstruction of the Formula 1 grandstands. And like I said before, you can still get a decent view of the fountains from the back, but if you're that butthurt about it, just pay the $25 and take a ride up to the observation deck on the Eiffel Tower. It's pretty awesome, and you can get one hell of a view of the Las Vegas Strip at night. It's worth every penny, trust me. And if you're a Las Vegas local or you happen to be going to the race, let me know how you think it's going to play out in the comments section down below.